The worst thing is that you end up with a few $1 million and then you go back down to near zero. It happened to me last bull market and with the bear market. So it's easy to make money in crypto in a bull market, but the real challenge is to keep it once you have it. So I think that's why it's good to start thinking about having a plan of action for like toward the mid 2025 to end of 2025, I would say.
It's pretty much well known that in the crypto industry, we've got 1 year to be in the what Raoul Paul calls the banana zone, where we go extremely parabolic, and all of the narratives that you can think of are going lightning fast. DeFi, maybe even NFTs, GameFi, DePIN. You hear all these buzzwords, and these are the things that we're waiting for in 2025. But what's going to come afterwards? That's something that we need to pay attention to because in this industry, you can't just think 1 year ahead. You always have to think much further ahead. And there's nobody better to do that with than Patrick, also known as Crypto Rookies. How are you doing, Patrick?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Looking
Good.
forward.
So you've mentioned something to me earlier in our conversation, and I think that we should have an entire episode. That's how important I think this topic is, because a lot of people are thinking about when is this bull market going to go up? When are we going to explode for the second wave? But a lot of us are also thinking about what are we going to do once 2025 is over?
Yeah, because the thing is, assuming some people may not manage to get wealthy enough for the rest of their life and retire by the end of 2025, they need to start preparing for what's next. And even if you manage to retire by 2025, we never know what could happen. So you still need to have some sort of capital investment strategy for when the bear market comes, definitely.
I'm glad that you bring this up because I think a lot of people make this mistake. And that's a big reason why they invest emotionally, right? None of this is ever in financial advice, of course, but we see it all the time. People will ape into meme coins where they really shouldn't. And that's because they're thinking very short term and they end up just wrecking their entire portfolio. And then they can't even recover from that. And they get very discouraged. And so they think, okay, I have 1 year to make all of my financial wealth and I can retire. But that's not necessarily the best way to look at it, right? Like we're thinking, okay, what's going to happen the next year, and then the next year, and then the next year. And so rather than thinking of it as in four cycles, there's still opportunity for us after 2025. Is that right?
That's right. The thing for me, I'll have like multiple strategy. One of them will be probably just to short the market while it goes down for a year. But even with that, I think there's a next very big trade that comes after this one. Like right now, the big trade is really Bitcoin to a certain extent. But I think starting to position ourselves for once the market maybe have a downturn, like because the worst thing is that you end up with a few $1 million and then you go back down to near zero. It happened to me last bull market and with the bear market. So like it's yeah, it's kind of the worst thing to happen. So it's easy to make money in crypto in a bull market, but it's the real challenge is to keep it once you have it. So I think that's why it start to be good to start thinking about having a plan of action for like toward the mid 2025 to end of 2025, I would say.
From what you're seeing, what is that next opportunity once we start to see the cooling off in the industry?
Back in the days, if there's a company that or managed to get like a monopoly, they still need a workforce to operate. And back in the days, this could be like a company with 10,000 employee. It's pretty hard to move a company of 10,000 employee to a new location. But with AI, we see companies that are shrinking in size quite a lot. So if you have a company that with just 100 employee that can be able to generate $10 billion a year or even more, like at some point they can move anywhere in the world and move their workforce with them. It's not that hard to move 100 employee. So then you'll go to wherever the regulation is better and where the primary resources that you need to operate are. So in the world of AI, both in terms of data centers, like the brain, and robotics, I think the primary resources that is needed for both of those things is energy, cheap energy. So in this case, I'm asking which country has access to the cheapest electricity. It's saying that Qatar, so 1.4 cents per kilowatt hour. And then Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, United Arabic Emirate, Bahrain. So it's a lot of Middle Eastern country that has very cheap electricity. And then meanwhile, you see the US is not even on the list. So 13.3 cents per kilowatt hour for the US on average. That vary a little bit between each states, but let's see, 13.3 divided by 1.4. Okay, so we are a factor of 10 times more expensive. So if a company really want to build a data center to power like a super intelligence of some sort,
What is the biggest cost of operating a data center for AI?
yeah, so okay, the hardware, I don't know if it matters that much because it's you ship it. Power and cooling, it's 50 to 70% of the cost. So definitely, okay, Qatar, like cooling, it's a bit of a problem because it's a desert. But in terms of power, that might be good. Then you want to know, is the energy production renewable and will be sustainable? Because the thing, if Qatar is able to right now produce at that cheap electricity level, if too many companies move their data centers there, maybe the cost could grow too fast. And then the cost maybe is not so cheap anymore. Like from what I read earlier, the production in Qatar is from natural gas. But this is not unlimited. At some point, you could run out. So if too many data centers move there, you could, I don't know if it's possible that you run out of natural gas, in which case then maybe there's no advantage in being based there. So I think maybe solar or nuclear power might be more interesting. Maybe the cost is a little bit higher than this, but at least it's renewable and can last for much longer.
Real quick, Patrick. So if I'm watching this and I'm hearing that I'm not going to be able to keep up with AI, and so if you can't beat it, join it, right? And look at places where the energy is less expensive. And you brought up some really good countries. How can I use that information to, well, what can I do with it?
I would map out the entire supply chain of energy production. Because the thing, implanting a data center, let's say in the Middle East like this, it's not just cheap electricity. There's, government regulation, all kinds of things come into play. So I would want to use either ChatGPT, Corcel, or whatever technology to research as much to understand this topic. This is why I think it's better to start thinking about this right now because it's going to take time to absorb the information and take a really informed decision as an investment. Because this is not really like a trading opportunity, like short term. It's more like a long term investment for maybe the next few decades. So, like, assuming that you find a country that has the best condition for building data centers and maybe and it's so just manufacturing products and physical product and stuff like that. The robots need energy to do their work. So if you can manufacture the robot somewhere but ship them somewhere else where they start manufacturing products, like there's a trade-off between the cost of energy and then bringing the raw material there to convert them into something useful. But the point is that it doesn't have, like we used to send stuff and manufacture things in China. Now it's moving a lot to India and other places. But if we have robots, it's not based on the population anymore. So you can move that anywhere that kind of makes sense. And the thing, the raw material is energy, so like electricity. So so to me, that's the thing. It's we need to find which country will have an advantage in terms of regulation, in terms of access to electricity, with a plan to build more energy capacity that is renewable as much as possible. And then from there, I would look into maybe tokenized part of that supply chain. Because I think producing the energy itself is one thing, but also storing the energy and transmitting it is another thing. So all of that is important.
So tokenized energy.
That could be it, yeah. And or maybe tokenized, like whatever elements go into battery creation. There's specific material that you cannot be reproduced. You have to dig like into the earth to take it out.
So if you're trying to invest in the next narrative may not necessarily be in crypto, but one area to look at is on the energy side, because to your point, with the development and evolvement of AI, we're going to need more energy to be able to power this.
But also there's a play for crypto here, not just on the tokenized part of the supply chain, but also it's entirely possible that either there's existing cryptocurrency right now, maybe it's Bitcoin, maybe it's not, that will be used by the machines and the AI to transact between each other. Because as they consume and they sell product and services, they might need to buy things of their own to operate. For example, a robo taxi of Tesla may need to go to a gas station to recharge. And they mean the money that they coming to them, they may use part of it to buy the electricity at the pump or whatever that is. So in which case then there's exchange between machine in terms of financial kind of monetary transfers. So maybe crypto makes sense to have a play there. I think it has to be fast, cheap, and maybe it's the AI itself that will create that new currency from the start. So
Well, AI is already promoting meme coins, so what's one more step further in creating it? Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Because I think it would have a better chance to optimize a cryptocurrency specific for their own use case.
Well, we should become prepared then. Thanks a lot for your time, Patrick, as always, and thanks for sharing all this amazing insights. For those that are watching, if you found this video helpful, please consider subscribing and then check out our playlist where Patrick and I dive into a lot of other topics and do altcoin reviews as well. Thanks so much.